Oh, hey everyone. Hey, brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ. Dan Savage is an American author. He's also a pundit, a journalist, and an LGBT XYLMNP123 community activist. He writes a column called Savage Love, relationship and sex advice column. Ooh, just gross. Savage and his quote unquote husband, Terry Miller, began the It Gets Better project to help prevent suicide among the LGBT XYLMNP youth. Now, I'm not trying to be insensitive. People deal with suicide in this world, right? The people that deal with this and in the gay, LGBT, whatever, blah, 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 blah community, they need Jesus. They do. They just do. I need Jesus. You listening, whether you're gay or straight or whatever, you need Jesus as well. Oh, Dan Savage covers one of his eyes, darkening it utterly, doing one eye symbolism, the eye of Horus. He's such a good guy, right? He's a prideful homosexual and he's covering one of his eyes, which is a satanic symbol. If you haven't figured that out yet, he's quote unquote gay married, except there's a problem with that. There's no such thing as gay marriage. God recognizes a man and a woman, they get married, and then they can have children, procreate, have relationships. This is not real. The world wants to make this real, but the world sucks and will never make it real. You know what matters? God's opinion on things, God's ways. Let's leave it up to men and women to make our own way in this world, right? Nope, they're liars and deceivers. They deceive you about the shape of the earth. They deceive you about sex. They deceive you about gender. There's men, there's women. They go together, nothing else. I'm not trying to be hateful or rude. I am speaking the facts and I'm speaking the truth that God recognizes. I don't have this all figured out, but I sure know the meaning of life, which is important, to put your faith in Jesus Christ. That's where your faith belongs. Dan Savage, the author and LGBT advocate, activist, whatever he wants to call himself, is not married to this man. There's no such thing. This is unnatural and sin and abomination. They're not actually married. They may think so. They may have bought each other rings and gone through a whole wedding ceremony, which is gross to think about. But if they've done that, they're mistaken. And that didn't actually happen. God doesn't recognize it at all. You can get mad. You can say, I'm a hateful person. You can do whatever you want. That's not going to change reality, okay? And of course, he mocks Jesus, right? Like, I don't believe in like the what would Jesus do thing. Like, it's just a saying the world does, but he's dressed up in his garb like Jesus. What would Dan Savage do, right? Yeah, what would the prideful homosexual do instead of Jesus? I wonder what he'd do. He'd probably have sodomy, which is disgusting and immoral, and a bunch of other things that I don't even want to think about. Sodom and Gomorrah is a real thing that happened in the Bible. I wonder what God did about that situation. Should we read about it sometime? No, let's just ignore it, right? Says the world. Dan Savage, American author and prideful homosexual, darkens one of his eyes utterly, doing the eye of Horus. What a humongous surprise! He's quote unquote married to a man, but he's not in reality. He's not married. He's living in sin and not married. That's what he's doing in reality. And he says, what would Dan Savage do instead of what would Jesus do? Dressing up like Jesus. Give me an absolute break, Dan Savage. I wonder where this guy's headed. Hey, everyone, I don't want him to go there, and I'm talking about hell. I don't want him to go there. I love him as a person and want him to come to Jesus Christ, but he's living for the world, loving himself, having pride of sin and abomination. This is not something that goes well with God. God bless you, everyone.